Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. It means a lot that you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep looking, I'll keep making. And today I want to talk about why I feel like Survivor 41 was pretty trash. I don't know, what the title is. If it's something to do with it being the worst, that's not necessarily what I think. Although I'm going to talk about why it definitely competes to be in that at least bottom 10. And honestly, for me, I think there's some serious positives with this season, but I think this season is also really hurt by some serious negatives with and just overall with the season, with production, with the cast, with everything. Stay tuned to the end of the video to find out what we're going to be doing tomorrow. I think you guys are really going to like that video. A lot of you guys are asking, and I'm trying to get the word out that yes, I am going to continue making content throughout the Christmas holiday, kind of these last 2 weeks of December. A lot of YouTubers take these days off, but instead I feel like I'm going to continue to make content. Or right now I'm recording in bulk about a few days before Christmas, so that you guys can have content throughout the 20s of December. And I feel like that's a real thing that I'm very devoted to. So you guys should have content the same amount, just on a schedule. So be excited for that. I will say 70% of you guys who are watching these videos are not subscribed. Let's change that. It's easy and it's free. And if that's it, let's get right into this video. So basically, the first thing that I want to talk about is just, or really the only thing that I'm going to be talking about in this entire video. I'm really just going to go through a pretty hefty list of things that I feel like hurt 41. So I'm going to go through a few bullet points, and I'm just going to talk about why I feel like this season contends to be one of the worser seasons in the franchise history. Because I feel like, especially because of the fact that it's a modern season, you really don't expect a season to be in the bottom 10, especially with the modern format. A lot of times bad seasons come from the zeros, 10s, and 20s, because back then gameplay was so much more rigid. But now in the 30s and 40s, you just wouldn't expect a season to be that bad, but yet seasons can still be that bad. And really, the first, and I think one of the more important reasons why this is that bad, is the bad boot order. I think a great example of this is in Game Changers, where a lot of people hate on the cast. I think it was more. I think the cast was decent for the season. Obviously, the cast wasn't on brand for the theme, but then again, do they really cast like David vs. Goliath to find the biggest underdogs and the biggest overdogs? No, they're basically casting for the role, but they're not just casting only people who are Goliaths. They also want people who are good at Survivor. So I think for an all-star cast, this isn't that bad. I mean, you have Malcolm, JT, Suri, Culpepper, Sarah. You have Ozzy. You have Tony. You have Sierra, who voted out her mom. I think Varner before the season wasn't that bad of a choice. I feel like his pre-merge in Cambodia was really fun to watch. I think this season definitely has a lot of fun people. Zeke, Andrea. This is a decent cast for an all-star season. Definitely better than the likes of a Karamoan, right? I think it even rivals casts like maybe Micronesia. Definitely not close to a Heroes vs. Villains or a Winners at War cast, but it's not that bad. It's definitely better than Karamoan. For me, the issue with the Game Changers cast for me is that all 10 of your best characters go first in the first 10 slots, leaving you with about 5 good and 5 bad at the merge. And that's the issue, is like the 5 on Game Changers that you're like, what? Which the 5 for me are like Caleb, Haley, I would say Sierra, Dawn Thomas, I would say Michaela, and one more that I can't even remember right now. I feel like those are like your 5 where you're like, who are you? And I feel like obviously Caleb gets voted out early, but the other 4 get deep into the post-merge and take up spots for people like a Sandra or a Malcolm or a JT to take their spot. I feel like if you swap this boot order, your season is so much better. But because of the fact that this cast, which was mostly good, but had about 5 duds, those 5 duds all make it to your final 10 and you're screwed. And I do feel like that's partly what happened here. Not in the same way, not on that same level. Obviously, with Game Changers it being a perfect example, but this season does lose really JD, Brad, and Voce, 3 people who I feel like had a lot of potential in the game and seem like very, very fun and aggressive players. And I feel like that's what you miss. I feel like if this season could have swapped positions where like Erica's and Heather's and even like Liana's go out in the spots that Voce's and Brad's and JD's went out in this season, I think your season increases so much more. Imagine a JD at the merge. Even if he, flames out, he's so fun to root for that it would really, really carry those like first 2 episodes or the only two episodes post merge that he's in. Or if Brad can get in the post merge and try and like, scuffle his way to the end, I feel like that adds more. Or if Voce can just absolutely just play himself and make like some big mastermind move that ends up blowing up in his face, that's fun. But instead we get Erica playing under the radar, Heather being absolutely non-existent. We get people like Liana being just like unlikable and not really in a fun way like Ricard. I feel like we had a lot of people who should have gone pre-merge. And by should have, I don't mean like, oh, this season it's so like, oh my god, like things should just happen how I want them. No. The edit told us that JD, Brad, and Voce were more fun to watch than Erica, Heather, and Liana were, and that's just what I personally see from the edit. And so I feel like if those 3 had made it to post merge, you're looking at a much better season. The second one I'm not going to spend much time on. It's the woke stuff. I mean, I say it every single time I talk about this season. This is the wokest season ever. Hopefully, it stays that way. But I mean, obviously, just to name a few examples. First of all, them literally taking out. Come on in, guys. Trust me. Deep breaths. The 15-minute segments of the show that are just all of a sudden disappearing like Houdini just appeared out of nowhere. I mean, the segments are just gone because they want to have a conversation about race, and I'm making air quotes right now, but they want to have a meaningful conversation about race in the middle of a strategical game. Like, what? Why is 15 minutes of the episode gone because you guys want to have a heartfelt conversation? I think that's absolutely idiotic, and I think a lot of people agree with me on that one. Next, that I have is the Hourglass episode, and I'm being clear, it's the Hourglass episode. The twist itself honestly led to a more entertaining post-merge, obviously with the whole Xander shenanigans and then Yase breaking up. That's more exciting than an easy Erica boot, right? And then they pick off the Yases. I feel like that merge episode was allowed to happen through that twist. But the twist is still terrible. They just, again, similar to how in David vs. Goliath, the idol nullifier worked out perfectly in David vs. Goliath. And because that was the first time, production was like, perfect, let's do it 3 more times, and it failed 3 times in a row. And so I feel like that's what they're going to do, is bring this twist back three or maybe 1 or 2 or 3 times, and it's going to completely fail and screw like a big character like a Xander. And so I do feel like this season benefits from that, but the issue with it obviously is that with that twist, you lose an entire episode, and you get probably the worst episode in Survivor history with episode 6 of this season, in which there's no vote out. That's already enough to make it a bottom 10, and then on top of that, there's not many meaningful conversations within the game. Obviously, the challenge is completely meaningless since we all know that Erica's going to flip it. And speaking of the fact that we all know that Erica's going to flip it, we know that she's going to flip it, so there's no cliffhanger at the end. We know what's going on. We basically are just told, will she do it? Will she not? But we already know. So we're basically just sitting there like, can we get to the next episode? If they had made that just all one episode, if they had made episode 6 and 7 one episode, that would be one of, if not the best merge episodes ever. But because it was split up, you had probably one of the worst episodes in Survivor history, and then you had episode 7, possibly one of the best tribals in Survivor history. So it's very highs and lows with this season, and I don't have this written down, but I do feel like inconsistency is definitely something that's very, very common in this season, where we get episode 1 being awesome, 2 and 3 subpar, 4 awesome, 5 really good, 6 worst episode possibly in Survivor history. Then 7 we have an absolute banger of an episode. 8 and 9 lackluster. Wait, is 9? No, 8. Oh yeah, 8 and 9 lackluster, decent at best. 10 the Shan blindside, great. Liana boot, not so great. And then the finale, and so it's and the Danny boot episode, boring. And then the finale, which was very disappointing. obviously for its ending, which we'll talk about later in this video. But I feel like overall, very inconsistent season, and that's also one thing that I didn't write down, but I think is very, very, very true. I won't go too long about this one, but the lack of idols and more specifically lack of idle plays. I feel like although it's really, really fun to see someone get blindsided with an idol in their pocket, because it adds weight to the blindside and it adds more anticipation, because now the editors don't really have to lie to us and be like, will they blindside them? Now the editors can be completely transparent with us and tell us all of the conversations that that they're having. For example, with the Ozzy blindside in Micronesia, we got to see the girls come together, make the plan, and then do it. And then, the cliffhanger wasn't will it happen, it's will Ozzy play his idol. And they can still leave like a bit of a cliffhanger, but they don't have to cut out all of the combos confirming that Ozzy is in fact getting votes. Whereas when they don't have an idol and it's a blindside, they have to kind of trick us into thinking maybe he's not going to be blindside, because that's not as fun. And so I definitely think that the lack of as much as getting voted out with an idol in your pocket is fun to watch, it's also detrimental, because obviously all of the best seasons have great idol plays. I mean, you look at Micronesia, it has great idol plays. It really has two non-plays. It has Eric giving up his idol, and then it has Amanda playing her idol. Great idol plays overall. I think seasons like for an example, Heroes vs. Villains, it has great idol plays as well, where Parvati plays one at the merge well, and then Russell plays one at the Tyson Tribal. Seasons like Kikagian, where Tony's going nuts with the idols. That's really really fun to watch. And then seasons like Dave vs. Goliath. Also, I think overall all the best seasons you use idols, in a diverse way, where the idols aren't just played or just kept or just voted out with or just bargained with. It's all of the above, and I feel like this season did not have all of the above in that field. Next one I have is a lack of fluidity. So I feel like for a modern season, this was a pretty rigid season. There was really one big flip of power. No, I would say two flips of power. So obviously at the merge, it's established that it's basically everybody versus the Yases. And then we had the split up, which I wouldn't count as a flip of power when Nasir goes home, because it was a split up. So it was more of a cohort of the tribe who had a power, which isn't the usual cohort. So if you don't count that, then the only flips that you have are flipping on Shan, which involves, I guess, Deshaun and Danny working with Ricard. And then after that, Ricard flips on Deshaun and Danny, and now it's Ricard, Xander, Erica, and Heather in the 4 majority. So that's one, maybe two flips if you want to count Ricard flipping again on 2 of his alliance members that he used to get out Shan. So I would say overall that if that's the case, if we're looking at it from that perspective, where there's literally maybe 1 or 2 flips in a modern day, in the 40s and 30s era of Survivor, if there's only 2 flips, maybe 1, you have a serious problem, because nowadays gameplay should be super, super fluid, and if it's not, there's a serious issue with something going on in the game. The last one I have is Erica's edit. People have mistaken my thoughts on Erica for me thinking that she, quote unquote, did not deserve to win or something like that. It's not that. It's that we got a positive, not only positive, right? He didn't just get like the Golden Boy edit. He got Golden Boy and a winner's edit as well. And he gets a lot of it in the finale, which is even worse for the edit. And on top of that, Erica got this. Oh, well, she played the game. Like, she's not a GOAT by any means, but these 3 guys will probably beat her at the end. She got that edit. It was very quiet edit. Her real only moves that were shown was laying low and the vote split at the final, I believe 10 to get, or sorry, the final 8 to get Shan out. And so I do think that her moves were very underplayed there. And I think overall that if Erica's edit had been better, if they gave Erica the Michelle from Winners at War edit, and they gave Xander like a Malcolm edit, where with Malcolm's edit in Philippines, we see that we still feel terrible when he goes. We're still on his side all the way, but we also see that like his game is flawed. he makes a mistake. And we saw that with Xander, but they really did not focus on how bad of a move it was to take Erica to the end. If they had propped Erica up as more of a threat and then really like made Xander's decision look easier and then showed Xander not to taking her out and fire, then we're like, oh, Xander, you idiot. But because they don't really prop her up as a threat, we're like, okay, that's a decent choice, Xander. And then she beats him and we're like, what? Oh my God. So I definitely think it's on the edit there with Erica's win being not so fun to watch. So let's just put it that way. And that's it, guys. I just wanted to touch on my feelings on the season. I mean, of course, this season's been so divisive within Reddit and Twitter on for Survivor, but I think overall, I mean, I'm actually going to be we'll talk about that in tomorrow's video, but you guys are definitely gonna know about how I feel about this season in terms of its ranking, in other seasons. Let's just put it that way. But as far as tomorrow's video, I'm going to be doing a pretty big video. It's going to be my last Shan video ever. So I've done 2 or 3 videos on Shan. I think you guys like it, and I think I'm gonna cut it off here because obviously, as 41 comes to an end, so does Shan's relevancy. So I feel like it's time to cut off Shan from our channel. But I think it's time for one last hoorah, where we're just gonna go through everything that she said that shows her absolute dumbassery, if that's even a word. And I think we're gonna have a real good time with this one. If you haven't already, check out the Discord. It's in the description. Click on it and you can join. You can ask me questions. You can talk to my viewers. You guys can talk to each other. We can you can give me video suggestions there. You can you can do all type. It's so fun in there. We have so much fun there. Sometimes I'll ask you guys questions about which videos you guys want to do in the future there. Sometimes I'll post a thumbnail there and be like, should I do this one or that one? It's just you guys are so cool in that server, and so let's just keep that up. And that's it, guys. If if you like the content and you're new, click on it. Click the little red button down there. It helps me out a lot. We're close to 2K, so let's get there. Let's get there. Again, none of this happens without you guys. I'm just a weird guy speaking into a weird microphone. If that's it, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.